So, hello, one more time. Today, the 13th of July, 2024. It's a pleasure to meet you one more time, ladies, gentlemen. It's nice to see you. So, let's do a recap. What do we have to do in this week? We are going to talk about mis próximas vacaciones, a writing space. So, because this evidence is mentioned in Spanish, I'm going to read it in Spanish, obviously. So, la presente evidencia corresponde a un espacio de aprendizaje colaborativo en donde va a realizar una composición de no menos de 10 líneas en donde exponga 10 actividades que o a realizar durante este periodo de tiempo vacacional, suponiendo que sea diciembre o junio, ¿no? Utilizando verbos modales. Y aquí debo recalcarlo, verbos modales, porque ya en alguna ocasión vi que me estaban poniendo lo que iba a hacer en vacaciones, pero sin utilizar nada de verbos modales. Entonces, bueno, para que lo tenga presente. Y vamos a responder estas preguntas. When would you request your vacation from work? How many days will you have for vacation? Where would you go on vacation? Who would you go with on that trip? And would you ask for advice from a travel agency? Tomando en cuenta esto, vamos a presentar, bueno, las preguntas solamente son una guía para realizar su primera participación, organizando oraciones y logrando construir párrafos para realizar una pequeña composición escrita. So, we're going to take into account the previous questions to create a story about what are we going to do in our next future following vacations. So goodbye recap. Thank you very much, Learning Guide. You helped us a lot. So besides talking about the Learning Guide, we were talking last time about modal verbs. And we said that modal verbs, not this, but here. Modal verbs are auxiliary verbs. So they help, they support, they give steroids to the main verb. They help the other verbs. So the modal verbs can express ability, permission, request, criticism, lack of necessity, recommendation, and so on. And they are going to replace the auxiliary verb because they are going to be the auxiliary verb. So we don't need to use another auxiliary verb. And remember that when we have the presence of an auxiliary verb, the main verb never changes. That's what happened in simple present tense when we use in negative sentences the verb do or does in questions and in negative sentences because the main verb doesn't change. The same happened with simple past tense because in negative sentences and in questions we use the verb did and the main verb doesn't change. So this is general. This is something general, something we use for all auxiliary verbs. When we have an auxiliary verb, the main verb doesn't change. And we said that we can use the modal verb in every single verbal tense. So with the verbal tense, we use the modal verb before the main verb, conjugated the main verb. So in past, in present, imperfect, whatever. The modal verb is going to receive the negative changes. So it's going to be can't, couldn't, and so on. And for questions, the modal verb is going to be at the beginning of the question. Additionally, we said, okay, the modal verb good means something like ría, ríamos, rían, rías. For example, correría, caminaríamos, vivirían, comería, and so on. This is used to talk about the past, the future in the past, so this is a past perfect. To express conditions, and we're going to study these next week, conditionals, zero and first. So the verb good is used in conditionals. And to express desire, requests, questions, opinions, and other things. The structure for good is the same as other modal verbs. So we are not going to focus a lot on this. And we also did the parallel between the verbs can and could. And we said both express possibility or ability to do something, right? But When we are talking about something in present, the ability in present, we use can. But if we are talking about the past, in terms of ability, we use could. Additionally, if we are talking about the future, because these two verbs can be used in the future, we are going to use can to predict the future, a future that is highly probable to happen, is very likely to happen. Instead, we are going to use could when the scenario of the future is not likely to happen. The probability of something happening is reduced. It exists, but is very low, is reduced. So this is what we did last time. We talked about what are modal verbs, when do we use the modal verb good, and what's the difference between can and could. That's what we did last time. Now we are going to check the second part of this. So we're going to study modal verbs to talk about permissions, requests, offers, and invitations. So we're going to study these verbs: can, could, may, and good. What are we going to do with them? So to do that, where is it? 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 Yeah, so no, I'm not going to use this. I prefer not to do it. So, to ask for permission, to ask for request for an offer, or to offer something, or to invite somebody to do something, we are going to use these four verbs. How are we going to use them? Depending on the context, because the context here is important. I'm going to mention this example, this parallel. When you talk to your brother, the way you talk to your brother is different to the way you talk to your sister or your mother or your daughter or your best friend or your neighbor or your dean or the manager or your boss or your employee, right? Because the confidence between all of them is different, right? There is some kind of, let me remember the word. In Spanish is jerarquía, but in English, let me check it because I don't really remember what's the pronunciation of this word. Sometimes I forget words, I'm sorry. And I don't think it's hierarchy, but...
It's hierarchy.
Oh, yes, yeah, thank you. I forgot the pronunciation. So, hierarchy. So, yeah, so there is a hierarchy here because with people close to you, when people are in terms of age is similar to you because you are 15 and your best friend is 15, you're going to be very informal. Or if you both are workers or minors and work in the same area and you have been working in the same factory for the last 15 years, 20 years, your relationship might be very close. So the relationship is going to be different than talking to your boss, than talking to the politician, than talking to the president of the republic, right? And talking to a CEO of a huge company. So this is the context. There are different contexts, and when you are in an informal context, and you are asking for permission, for requests, you are offering something, or you are inviting someone to do something, and this context is an informal context, it's better to use the verb can. So this is an example. Hey neighbor, you meet your neighbor and you have, sometimes maybe on weekends you go and play soccer or play basketball with him or her. So you have a huge relationship with him or her. So, hey neighbor, how can I help you? I see that you are having troubles with issues with your grass, with your with your backyard, with your patio, with your front yard, right? What can I do for you, right? Because you are too close to him or her, you use the modal verb can. Huh. Another example, you are in your best friend's house. And because it's your best friend, you have a close relationship with him or her. So you can say, you can ask him, her, you can ask them, because we don't know the gender, so we use them or they, depends on the context. Can I open the window? And he says, or she says, yes, you can. Don't worry. You can do it. So, yeah, yes, this is better. I forgot this. I don't know why I forgot the comma. Okay, well, so can I open the window? So, is your best friend, and you are burning because it's too hot in his house. So, this is an informal request. You're asking for permission to do something because it's not your house. You're close to your friend, so you're close to your friend, of course, but it's not your house, so you cannot do anything you want in there. So there is, even though it's your best friend, you have respect for him or her. So if the context is polite or neutral, it's not informal, but it's polite, the suggestion is to use the modal verb could, and the context is going to be similar. For example, do you think you could do me a favor? Or the same example of the window. This is better to mention this. It's better to show you the example. Could I open the window? You are with a partner. You are doing something with a partner from your university, from your high school, from your institute, whatever, but you don't interact too much with them. You know him or her, but you don't interact a lot with him or her. So there is some kind of not too close relationship. It's not cold, but it's not warm. So it's neutral. So look at the difference. Can I open the window versus could I open the window? To answer this, you could say, yes, you can, no, you cannot for informal situations. But for neutral situations, we cannot answer with could. Instead, we use the modal verb may. Yes, you may. Yes, I may. Yes, he may. Whatever, right? Oh, no, he may not. Depends on the context. The difference is subtle, is reduced, but is important. Can and could. Okay? What about if we are in a very formal situation, in a very formal context? For example, you are with your boss. Maybe you are 7 years old and you are with your father or mother, with your parents, and you have a lot of respect for them. So you must behave really formal. You are with the president of the company, the CEO, right? Or you are in a business meeting, and in a business meeting, the suggestion is to be very super, hyper, mega formal, right? So, for example, in classes, for the first time, you don't know the teacher, or the teacher is highly respected in the world. Is highly respected and recognized because he or she won a Nobel Prize. Let's suppose he's Marie Curie. Let's suppose. So you feel a lot of respect for her, and you ask, "May I ask you a question?" Because this is very formal, right? May. In that case, for example, with your boss, and you are in his or her office, you say, "May I open the window?" Look at the difference. Can I open the window? Hey, buddy, can I open the window? Hey, partner, could I open the window? Ma'am, may I open the window? Look at this difference. It's subtle, but there is an important difference. So the answer, once again, may or may not. Yes, you may, no, you may not, for example, right? Remember that with modal verbs, these modal verbs are used for everyone. So they have no conjugation. So I may, you may, she may, we may, Carlos may, the whale may, and so on. The modal verbs have no conjugations, okay? So that's why we say yes, I may, or no, you may not, or yes, he may, for example. However, if you want, oops, oh my God, yeah, this is better. If you want to sound more persuasive, you could you can use can't or couldn't. Like for example, when you are inviting someone and you are trying to convince him or her to go with you to the movies to watch a movie with him. You are seducing him or her, right? So if you want to sound more persuasive and you bend your no, it's not the verb bend. You bow and you like yes, bend your head and like smile and want to hug her and so on. You want to be more persuasive, right? Like the kids when they say, "Please let me go," and they do something with their eyes, right? If you want to sound more persuasive, you could use can't or couldn't in terms of a question. For example, can we listen to some music? Can't we listen to some music? Or couldn't we stay here a little more? Please, don't be bad. Let me stay here for a little more, right? Can and couldn't are used to sound more persuasive. Or in this case, for example, can I open the window? Can't I open the window? Couldn't you open the window? Is more persuasive. But once again, can is more informal. Can't, couldn't is a little more formal, is more neutral, let's say this, right? But it sounds more persuasive, like kids, like children, when they want to be, when they want to enroll their parts. And finally, good. When do we use good? To ask requests or questions in an indirect way, to create indirect questions or requests. So they are very polite. So would you like a soda? ¿Te gustaría una gaseosita? Not really. I would prefer a beer. It's too hot. And tomorrow is Colombia's game, so I want to celebrate with a beer, not with a soda, please, right? Or would you please open the window? Would you mind opening the window? Right? It's once again a request, but polite. It's an indirect request, an indirect question, but it's polite. This is too polite, right? So let's recap quickly. We use can, could, may, and good to ask for permission to do something, to request for something, to offer something, or to invite someone somewhere, right? If we are in an informal context, we are going to use can. If we are in a neutral context, we are going to use could. However, if we are in a very formal context, we use may. Incredibly formal, but it has to be incredibly formal. So you are with a tie, for example. And if you want to be a little more persuasive, like children, right, when they want to do something, you can use the negative way in a question. So can't or couldn't I do something? Couldn't we do something? Couldn't I open the window, for example? And if you want to create a request, an indirect request, but very polite request, use good. Or maybe it's an indirect question, but once again, it's polite because maybe you don't know that person or you haven't interacted a lot with him or her, or maybe it's your wife, your husband, but the context needs you to be polite, right? You cannot say, tell her, You cannot hug her and kiss her like a 17-year-old teenagers, right? You have to behave yourself in this context, right? So it depends on the context. So that's how we use these modal verbs in this context, in these situations. So let's go with, oh, there are many. Good. I never noticed when you came here today. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. I made a huge mistake, and that's fortunately I have the games here. That's good, but I need to reopen them. So meanwhile you are in the first game, I'm going to open the other games. First, let's begin with can, could, and may. So let's go with this. 3 minutes is more than enough, and then we are going to play together. Chat. Yeah, the link of the game is in the chat now. Okay, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. What you have to do, obviously, answer correctly the questions in the game, and collect all the diamonds. Skip everything that is not going to be a diamond, so bones, cans, or fish. Right? Good luck. 20 seconds. Five seconds. And time up. Okie doke. So third place, this is for Juan David. Good. Second place, this is for Maria Fernanda. And the first place is for Samuel. Congratulations. Well done. So also congratulations to Michelle and Angie in the fourth and fifth place, respectively. Well done. Okay, this has already been done. Therefore, let's go with another related game. In this case, there are 20 questions, but we are going to play in another context. I'm going to play with you this time. We are going to be part of the same team because we are many. So yeah, 5 minutes is more than enough. I think we have already played this game, so this scenario, this is what I mean with game. Therefore, I'm pretty sure it's going to be easy to understand. When you join the game, there's going to be a question for you that says, wait a second, I'm trying to join. There is a question that says, ¿está de acuerdo con describir el símbolo durante el juego? If you can open the microphone, say yes. If you cannot open the microphone, say no. However, if you cannot open the microphone, but you can type quickly, then type yes. So, just in case. Okay, how many are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are 6. Therefore, we are completed. Well, we are all in the same ship. So, what's going to happen here? We are all together in a yellow submarine, like in the Beatles, and the objective is to explore the deep of the ocean, and we have to escape from this monsters, this monster, because it is this monster, sorry, whale, animal, I don't know what this is, shark perhaps, is going to try to eat us. So to explore the ocean and escape from his jaws, its jaws, mandíbulas, no? We have to answer correctly all the questions we are going to see in our device, cell phone, computer, whatever. And when we escape from the monster, one of us, I don't know who, is going to see in his or her screen a symbol, a picture, right? A pair of scissors, a warning sign, a hand, a person walking, or something like that. So one of us will have to describe this image, this picture, to the rest of the crew. We are all together here. Nobody's going to be better than anybody. So we will have to work together. Okay, we are part of the same team, like tomorrow with Colombia. So good luck. Hurry, guys, the monster is going to eat us. Okay, Juan David, what do you see?
No, espere. No logro entender, profe.
Que miren su pantalla. El resto de nosotros tiene que tipear ese dibujo.
Sí.
Entonces, un escáner, una brújula, un hidrante,
Un
creo.
hidrante. Un hidrante.
Okay. Okay, what's
Brújula.
next, Juan?
For also from is it umbrella?
A ruler?
Yes.
Brújula.
Ruler. Sí. Yes.
5 seconds, guys. Oh, okay, time up. You couldn't escape from the jaws of the monsters. From the monsters. Monster. Oh my god. Because everybody had to type, had to choose the same picture. Okay. So this is a teamwork. Okay, second round. We have 2 minutes. Hurry, guys. Hurry, hurry. Good. So, a woman. The face of a woman. One answer is missing. Falta una respuesta. Somebody's missing.
Come on. Let's go.
They have 4 answers. Seven seconds. And time up. Okay, look. Okay, at least we are an animal's meal. That's good. So, at the end of the game, we are a shrimp. And the captain is Juan David. Good. Engineer is Maria Fernanda. Good. And the sailor is Maria Fernanda again. Good. So, well done. Okay, look, let's continue. We have already studied modal verbs to ask for a permission. To ask for permission, for a request, for offers and invitations. We know how these modal verbs work. And now we're going to use them to talk about advice, right? To give advice or to ask for advice. For this, we are going to use 4 verbs and the negative variation. So these are the verbs. Should or shouldn't, had better or had better not, ought to or ought not to, and could. These are used to talk about advice. So we use this. We use these modal verbs to express that something is a good idea or something is a bad idea. So we shouldn't do this or we should do that, right? Maybe we should ask for a loan to the bank. Maybe it's not a good idea, right? So once again, we use them to ask or forgive or to give advice. And once again, depends on the context. Before we said that the context here is that if we are in an informal, polite, or super formal context, right? But in here, the context is going to be a little different because the context is going to be how strong or weak is the advice or the suggestion we are asking or giving. So the stronger advice, the stronger suggestion it is, we're going to use had better. The weaker suggestion or advice, then we are going to use could. And in the middle, ought to and should. So had better is the strongest way to ask or give an advice. It's like an order, kind of an order. Ought to, then should, and finally could. Could is like, if you like it, it's okay. If you don't like it, I don't care. Something like that, similar to that. So, it's like this. Could is kind of a suggestion. Should is intermediate between an advice and a suggestion. Ought to is it goes between an advice and a warning, and had better is a warning. So this is another way to describe these 4 modal verbs. But let's check them deeply. We're going to use could when we are giving a mild, not strong advice, or to suggest a solution to some problem, but it's a solution that if you want to take this advice from me, it's okay. If you don't want to do it, it's not going to be the end of the world, so doesn't matter. For example, this is an example. I hate my old jeans. And you say, well, you could buy a new pair. And if you don't do it, it's okay because your jeans are, well, your jeans are okay. And maybe you don't follow my advice. It's not going to be the end of the world. So doesn't matter. Okay. Another example. I sent my resume or my curriculum vitae in for a job a few weeks ago, but I haven't had any response. And you say, you could call the company. Maybe they are not going to answer to you, but you could try, right? It's not going to be the end of the world if they don't answer to you. So it doesn't matter, right? It's a mild advice. It's not strong. It's incredibly quick. So this is a solution to a problem, but the problem is not huge. So it's a mild problem. So it doesn't matter, right? What about should? A little stronger. Should expresses what could be the most correct or convenient thing to do. So this is a subjective opinion. I think the best for you to do is this, or that, right? It's like using morals in here, ethics, because this is something subjective. It's my opinion. We are talking about our opinions. Our idea of the world is this. So because we're Christians, we think, let's suppose we're Christians, let's suppose, because not necessarily it's true. But let's suppose we believe in God, so we say that we should give charity to the poor people, because that's what a good Christian does. Let's suppose that's correct. Let's suppose this is an hypothetical situation, right? So it's subjective. It depends on the person. It's according to the morals, according to the values of this person you're talking to. So the values and the moral is going to be different from you to a person from an Argentinian, from a Bolivian, from an European, or an Australian, or a Nordic guy, right? It's going to be different because our beliefs are different, right? So we are mentioning something that is more correct or convenient to do in a context. For example, you should eat healthy food. If you don't do it, you're going to suffer the consequences. But this is the best for you, right? Because if you want to have a fit body, you don't need, you must avoid junk food, and you should eat a salad every single day at lunch and at dinner, right? This is a suggestion that's going to be convenient for you. It's for you, not for me, for you. Another example, young children shouldn't watch violent TV shows because young children repeat what they see. So if they see somebody killing somebody else, they are going to repeat that and they are going to try to kill somebody else. Maybe that's not correct. Maybe that's not true. But this is my opinion. This is the most convenient thing to do according to the context, to this violent context. Let's suppose that, correct. Okay. Another example, I have a problem. Should I call my parents or my best friend? I mean, I need a help, but I'm asking you for an advice. Should I call my parents because they know what's the best for me, but they are going to yell at me because I know them and I don't want to feel myself like a bad person? Or should I call my best friend who is going to tell me what to do without judging me, but maybe his advice is not going to be the best? What should I do? I need help, but what's the best to do? What's the most convenient action to do in this situation, right? Additionally, should is used to talk about things we regret. So something we did in the past, and because it's talking, we can reject we can reject things we did in the past, not things that we are going to do in the future or we are going to do in the present. This is not coherent, right? We are talking about we feel sorry for things that already happened. We cannot feel sorry for things that are going to happen. It's not coherent, right? In this case, we are going to use this grammatical form, should have, and the present, the past participle of the verb. So if it's a regular verb, add ed is the same word in past, in present perfect. We should have studied more often. But now we can't because the test was yesterday and we failed. So we feel regret for not having studied before. We could have done it. But if we had done it last week, last month, whatever, in the past, we could have had a better grade. But today we know that it's not possible to do anything else. So we are regretting things that we cannot change because they happened in the past. So, sorry. Or maybe you shouldn't have shouted at them, at your children. I mean, children are children, they make mistakes. You can correct them by giving them an example or talking to them, but not shouting at them. And this is my opinion because we use should to talk about the most correct or convenient thing to do. So this is my perspective because this is a subjective opinion. Once again, maybe I am wrong with should, right? Maybe you're right, you have the experience, maybe I am not experienced. So that's why, once again, we are talking a subjective opinion. So what's right for you, maybe it's not right for me, and vice versa. Okay, next one. Next one. Out to. Out to is more formal than should. And we use it when we want to express an objective point of view. So in this case, with should is subjective. My opinion, what I think, according to my values, according to my perspective. Out to is objective. We are focusing in facts, in the truth, in the reality. Nobody can deny this. No one, because there are facts, right? So we are mentioning what is necessary and cannot be avoided. It must be done on this way. So in this case, we use ought to when we are talking about laws, duties, and regulations, because this is objective. It's written in the law, right? For example, we ought to behave a lot better, because if we don't do it, maybe the principal, the dean, is going to ask us to leave the school, and we are not going to be able to study anymore in the school, for example. Right? Or the husband asks, speaks with his wife, or vice versa. The wife speaks to her husband, and she says to him, or vice versa, you ought not to spend so much money in lotteries, in lottery tickets, or in your sport, or in your I don't know, in your motorcycle or whatever. You should spend because we need it for I don't know, to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to buy food, to accomplish our objectives of this year. I don't know, depends. So how to is some kind of a law, some kind of a regulation, but between a couple, because you have agreements. For example, in this example, no, you have not to spend so much money. You have to invest it, for example. So what's the issue with out to? Because we use it in regulations, duties, and laws, right? This is not very common to use. It's a little more old-fashioned. It's more and more and more old-fashioned. I mean, it's not used very common, especially now, because once again, it's used in specific situations, like when you are in a trail with a lawyer and so on. And if in affirmative sentences is not common, in negative sentences is even rarely to be used. It exists, of course, that's why I'm mentioning this to you, but is more and more useless over time. I mean, it's less and less used. Doesn't mean that we don't have to know it. We need to, but we also need to know its difficulties and limitations. Okay. And finally, had better. We use had better to give advice or recommendations when we believe that if you act in a contrary way, there will be negative consequences. I guess there is no better way to explain this. So sorry. So it had better expresses the idea of a warning, right? something bad will happen to you if you don't follow the advice I'm giving to you, right? If you are in North Korea and you don't, you don't follow the rules of the North Korean government, something bad is going to happen to you. So you had better follow the rules, right? You must not drink alcohol while driving, because if you do it, maybe you are going to have an accident, and perhaps, I hope no, you are going to kill somebody. Therefore, you had better follow the rules, because if you don't do it, something bad is going to happen. Another example, let me see, let me think. I don't know. You have to behave in a party, in a formal party with your boss, because this party is a party from the company you are working for. So if you don't behave and you drink a lot and you make something, a scene, and you make a scene in there, maybe they are not going to invite you again, and perhaps your contract is going to be cancelled. Therefore, you had better behave and follow the rules of the company, right? Had better is used as a recommendation that if you don't follow the rules, the established rules, something bad is going to happen to you. Or maybe not only so to you, but also to other people around you. Examples. You are with somebody driving, you're driving and somebody is with you. So this person says, you had better slow down. You're driving too fast. If you don't slow down, perhaps we're going to have an accident. And I don't want to die. Not yet. There is a contraction for had better. And this contraction is better. For example, you'd better not touch that. Mother or father says to their son or daughter in a museum, you'd better not touch, you'd better not touch that. If you touch it and you break it, we will have to buy it, pay for it, and that's going to be expensive. So don't do it, right? Something bad is going to happen if you don't follow the rules. This is the advice, the recommendation. So the contraction, get better. This contraction, do better, right? Sometimes, especially in casual speaking, in informal speaking, a had disappears sometimes. So instead of saying you had better study tonight, you could say you'd better study tonight. And even more informal, you better study tonight. This is especially used in casual speaking situations. In writing situations, not very much, but in spoken situations, is very common, especially if it's a casual, informal environment, not informal, not with formal environments. Okay, so just be careful with it. Okay, that's it. So let's do a quick recap. Models for advice, we have 4, had better, ought to, should, and could. If the advice is strong, we use had better. If the advice is weak, we use could. So a kind of suggestion is when we're talking about suggestions, we use could. If it's intermediate between advice and suggestion, we use should. If we have an intermediate between advice and warning, we use ought to. And if we are talking about a warning, we use had better. So could is a mild advice, should is advice, but in subjective terms. Ought to is again an advice, but it's used with an objective, in objective terms, especially when talking about laws, for example, laws and regulations. It's not very used in a day by day, in an everyday English, because this is too formal. So we use it in the court, for example, but not between friends, for example. And finally, had better is some kind of a recommendation. Is not just an advice; it's a recommendation, and we use it because when we don't want, when we know that if you don't follow the rules, something bad is going to happen to you. So we need to be very careful with had better, because this is a must. We must follow the rules like this, right? Because if we don't do it, because we can break the rules, of course we can, but if we do it, we need to face the consequences, and the consequences are not necessarily good, are most of the time bad. Okay, look, that's it about this. Therefore, I'm going to play two games with you. The first one is with quizzes, and the second one is in Kahoot. And that would be all for today's session. Pa-pa-pam. The first link is in the chat. So break a leg, as always. I will start the game when the timer says 50 seconds, okay? Okay, good luck. Okay, I'm going to give you one more minute, 9:09. I will stop the game, okay? Okay, going to stop the game now. So, third place for Maria Fernanda, second place for Angie, the first place is for Samuel. Congratulations. With a 62% of accuracy, the most difficult question, there are many difficult questions, but this is the hardest one, is not a smoking area. So if this is not a smoking area, we must not smoke, right? No debemos fumar en un área de no fumadores. So you have to smoke here. ¿Tienes que fumar aquí? Obviously not. This is not possible, right? So should, let's go with should. Let's remember, when do we use should? We use should when it's a subjective opinion. I think this is the best thing you could do for yourself. Maybe there's something, maybe this is not an advice what we have to take into account, but instead, we are using a recommendation, because if we smoke in a non-smoking area, maybe in this restaurant, in the movies or whatever, somebody is going to ask us to leave. If we don't follow the rules, something bad is going to happen. If we smoke in a hospital, for example, I'm pretty sure the nurse, the police officer, or the doctor, or whoever it is there, is going to tell us, please leave, don't stay here. So you had better not, right? This is not just as an advice, it's a strong advice. Remember this. Okay, so this was the hardest question here. And now I'm going to give you two games for you to develop them at home, not here. The first one is in the chat, already in the chat. You have to answer the questions in this basketball game. So I have a fever, cough, toothache, headache, and so on. And then you have to, after seeing these diseases, these issues in terms of health, you will have to give them an advice. This is too easy. The second exercise for you to develop at home, not for me, but for you at home, is to complete this exercise, right? Complete this exercise. Typing shouldn't, had better, ought to, whatever in this first part. In the second part, you have to make a relationship between 1 and A, 2 and C, 4 and E, A and G, and so on. And also type the correct answer here, should or shouldn't. There are only two options. Had better or better. There are only two options. And in this last exercise, you must answer the question according to the context. So should, have better, and ought to are used to give advice, or they are used to give information. So if I think it's information, I just type here information, obviously, right? And when you finish, clicking finish, check my answers. And if you have a red something red is because you didn't answer correctly. If you did it right, you're going to have a green square or something like that. So in this case, it's not for information. Rule should have better out to are used to give an advice, right? So this is the second exercise. I think I have already gave this to you, I guess. I guess not. And let's go with the final game. This is for you to develop, to be developed at home, right? And let's go with a last game. Let's go with modal verbs. So the last exercise of modal verbs for advice. Last one, Kahoot. And we are going to play it. Let me see. I want to play this. I haven't played this with you. 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes is more than enough. Because you're 4, let's delete Team Wolf. Yeah. I'm not going to play. You are going to be the one who play. As soon as you join, I'll tell you the rules. Okay, if Michelle doesn't join, I'm going to make a team with Angie because it's required to make a team here. And Juan and Samuel are going to have an unfair advantage if I don't join. Okay, let's go. Yeah, this one. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to build the tallest tower. Okay, so Samuel and Samuel and Juan David are going to play against Angie and me. Okay, so we are going to be teams. In order to be able to create the tallest tower, we are going to have this kind of I don't know what's this bricks. Let's suppose they are bricks. They are not bricks, but let's suppose when we answer correctly the questions we are going to have in our device. We're going to see in our devices. When we get 3 of them, we are going to be able to throw them over the tower. So we need to place them around all the floor, around all the top of the tower, right? When we see, at the moment we see a monkey. When we get it, to get it, we need to place these bricks in this place where the picture shows this. We are going to be able to stop the advance of the other team. So this is an advantage for us. Okay, that's it. Good luck. Remember to aim. Raccoon Team. Recuerde apuntar. One minute left. Close. Okay, the end of the game. At the end of the game, second place with 7 floors. It's for Team Raccoon. And the first place with the same 7 floors, 7 floors. The Team Panda is the winner. Congratulations. Well done. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to close this game, close this too. You already know the activity I asked you to do in order to improve your knowledge in this topic. And that will be all for today, guys. So if you have questions, just let me know them. If you don't have questions, I will see you on Wednesday. Okay? Questions, guys?
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, doc. Then I'll meet you again on Wednesday. Thank you for coming, guys, and have an excellent weekend. If you please behave tomorrow. If you don't behave, please invite me, and bye-bye. Take care.
Bye bye, teacher. Thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
good